The nurse avoided my gaze as she stepped out of the ER. She didn't have to say a word. I already understood. Her gloves were streaked pink, blood diluted in water. Not much, but enough. My wife was inside. Our twins weren't. She murmured something, words that vanished immediately from my mind. What I remember was a steady beep of the monitor, the antiseptic air, and the suffocating silence that seemed to swallow the world. Then the sheriff appeared, hand in his, face carefully composed. "There's been an accident," he said, as though I hadn't already seen the mangled wreck that had been her car. The boy who hit her, Derek Hall. The name jolted me. Senator Hall's son. The sheriff stared at his boots. Best not to push this one. The Halls owned this county. Owned. I peered through the glass at the hospital room. My wife's hand lay motionless on the sheets, pale and fragile. 8 months. 2 heartbeats erased. And I, Sergeant Major Ghost Carter, was being told to move on. For 22 years, I hunted war criminals. I knew how men concealed their sins, behind money, family names, God. But nothing prepares you for evil at your own doorstep. Derek Hall had run her off the road drunk, laughing, posting his last social media clip before the crash. I saw it, taken down an hour later, replaced by a press release about a tragic misunderstanding. The sheriff came by, offering apologies, claimed the boy was traumatized, that he'd pay enough in suffering. I watched him speak, but my mind was elsewhere, calculating seconds, angles, timing. Not vengeance. Not yet. Only truth. Because truth is the first weapon. That night, I sat beside her bed. Machines whispered around us, steady as a heartbeat that wasn't hers. She didn't wake, but I spoke anyway. They won't bury you under lies. 3 days later, I began my work. No guns, no threats, only questions. Quiet ones, asked the right people. A bartender who saw Derek's car leave the club that night. A nurse who noticed the sheriff's nephew tampering with the toxicology report. A hotel clerk who swore Derek wasn't alone. I paid no one. Threatened no one. I didn't need to. They all remembered the ghost. Each fragment of information fit perfectly into a deliberate pattern. Senator Hall had buried worse, but this time it was sloppy. Derek wasn't sober, and someone in the sheriff's office had made sure no one knew. By week's end, I had it all. Video footage, a blood sample, a signed statement. Still, I waited. Rage is meaningless without patience. After decades in the silence between gunfire, you learn the real battle isn't killing a man. It's letting him unravel on his own while you watch. I met Senator Hall at a fundraiser, dressed in my blues. His handshake was warm, practiced, eyes hollow. "Sergeant Major Carter," he said. "A pleasure." "The pleasure's mine, Senator. I think we share mutual interest." I replied. He didn't catch the tone at first. Then I handed him a small, unmarked silver drive. "Everything's on here," I said. "The crash footage, the doctor report, the blood test." I leaned closer, and the girl Derek was with that night. His smile cracked. Cameras flashed behind him. Champagne glittered. Laughter bubbled in the air like static. But in his eyes, I saw panic. He knew I wasn't bluffing. Men like me don't bluff. By morning, the story was everywhere. Leaked from an anonymous source. Derek Hall arrested. Sheriff suspended. Senator resigning for family reasons. They called it a scandal. It wasn't. It was a reckoning. No bullets, no blood, just the truth weaponized. That night, I visited her grave. The town was still. Hospital lights blinked faintly in the distance like dying stars. I placed a single-folded newspaper on her headstone. The front page. Senator's son indicted for vehicular manslaughter. I whispered, "They'll never touch you again." Justice doesn't feel like victory. It feels like silence, like an engine cooling after the fire. I sat in my truck for hours, watching the wind move through the cemetery gates. I thought of the sheriff, the senator, the son, how they built their world on immunity and fear, and how easily it crumbled under proof alone. My wife once told me I was too calm for this world. She said it like it was a flaw. Now it's the only thing keeping me alive. When I finally started the engine, the radio carried news of another scandal, another man falling. The world doesn't end in explosions. It ends when someone realizes the ghost never leaves. Justice wasn't vengeance. It was the quiet certainty that truth had outlived them all.